Welcome to Fantasy Breakouts. I'm Pat. That's Eric. That's Josh. Today we are going to give you our two winners and losers for the running back position as far as free agency goes. And be sure to stick around because obviously it's going to have great implications when it comes to your team as far as, next season, who to draft, how to draft, what the game plan is. First of all, Eric, could you please start us off with the winners from the free agency as far as running backs are concerned for you?
Yeah, I think right now is kind of when the dust is settled and we can kind of see what we're going to be expecting going into the draft. And Antonio Gibson is a huge winner. I think with Washington adding Fitzpatrick and Curtis Samuel, and they brought back Brandon Scherff on the line. They didn't lose any major line pieces. Lamar Miller came in to Washington, but he's not a threat to Antonio Gibson. Defense is great. They're going to be in really good game script, and they'll have a healthy Terry McLaurin. So I think they're just going to be moving the ball. Somebody's going to cash in on a lot of touchdowns this year. And the more I think about Antonio Gibson, that's somebody to get really excited about. Big body guy. His current ADP is around 30 right now, and that's right in line with guys like Mixon, Swift, CEH. And I think he just seems like head and shoulders above those guys. If I don't know what you guys think, but that's what I think personally. But I personally rank him around like 20 to 25 right now, and I think you can get him at end of the second, early third, and he could be a beast for you guys. But Josh, you want to go into one of yours, or do you have any thoughts on Gibson?
Antonio Gibson, man, I like what he's going to do this year with the new offensive line pieces that they added to the team. Of course, they got to add some new receivers as well, so the ball is going to be spread around. But just having that offensive line, like 3 offensive line pieces added to the mix, is going to help that team out tremendously, opening up the lanes for him. But I'm gonna go in a little different route as far as my winners for the running back position. I'm going to go with the Houston pickup with Mark Ingram and Phillip Lindsay. Last season, both of them kind of had a split carries with 2 good running backs. And so this year, they'll have to do the same thing, but they'll know what they'll be looking forward to going into the season. They know they'll have to split carries. So I feel like Mark Ingram and Phillip Lindsay could kind of tally up to about 700 yards each, and kind of help Houston try to make a run in the division, but without a quarterback, it's no real hope. But I feel like Mark Ingram and Phillip Lindsay was a big winner with Houston picking them up. And then if I piggyback to my second one, another big winner, I feel like it's Devante Booker with the Giants signing him. I know Saquon Barkley had just, got injured last year, and we don't quite know how he will return this season, full form, or is he going to be, a little step slower or whatnot. So I feel like Devante Booker will be a good change of pace back who could help Saquon Barkley, especially in the running between the tackles. You kind of move Saquon to more of a receiving back to kind of see where he's at after the injury. And so I think Devante Booker could be a major impact and a good pickup for the New York Giants. So Patrick, slide over to you. What you got?
I would say my first running back winner would be Chris Carson. We've already talked about how they want their offense to be. They re-signed him. They're going to give him the ball. At one point, I thought it'd be Penny, but obviously, Chris Carson is Chris Carson. He's going to get the ball, very reliable. The next person, Mr. 815, Mr. James Robinson. They signed the guy from San Fran years ago. I'm trying to think of his name. He went to Ohio State.
Carlos Hyde.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. Okay. They signed Carlos Hyde. So some people are like, oh, no, that's I'm cool with that because we know what that's going to be. He's a great role player, and he's a role player. James Robinson's still going to eat. They want to preserve and protect him, but he's still going to be the dominant back. And obviously, with the momentum they got going, I just like Jacksonville right now. So, Eric, what's your second running back winner?
Yeah, my final running back winner is somebody I kind of have some inside research on, Mike Boone, actually. So if you remember that guy from the Vikings, third string, I think he had too many of the same skill sets as Dalvin Cook, so he didn't really get on the field as much as Madison did, just because Madison, he's just a freight train, whereas Boone does a little bit of everything, very fast. So George Payton was the assistant GM for the Vikings. Now he's the Broncos GM. And he has not invested much into the running backs. He let Phillip Lindsay walk, didn't want to pay him. And then Otherwise, we have Melvin Gordon had a DUI. I think it was a pretty serious one. So he might get suspended. And then Royce Freeman. I mean, I don't know if we've seen a lot of juice out of Royce Freeman lately either. So I'm not necessarily drafting Boone.
Royce Freeman's a quarterback. Sorry, go ahead.
Royce Freeman. Who am I want to say?
No. Remember they were talking about they have a quarterback. He was going to be the quarterback.
Oh, he was. Yeah. He does a lot of special teams nowadays. Actually, Royce Freeman. But yeah, I'm not necessarily going to be drafting Boone. But if they don't draft somebody in the rookie draft, obviously, Mike Boone could be a really sneaky person to put at the end of your roster in the draft season, or look out for him in free agency if you see he's getting a lot of reps. And then just a bonus one. I mean, obviously the Packers, the A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones thing I called and Pat was wrong about. So that was what I called. People want that thunder and lightning. Devante Adams, when he missed those games, they needed Aaron Jones, and I think if they lose him, Devante Adams, they're going to be happy they still kept him. But otherwise, losers, I'll just go with one and not let Pat respond to that. I mentioned how earlier in the year, Carolina Panthers is really important. They bring back their really good offensive line. They did bring back Taylor Moton, but they left they filled out the left side of their line with Cameron Irving and Pat Elflein. And I've seen Pat Elflein play football for a couple of years in Minnesota. That guy sucks. And they paid him, I think it was top 8 money. They paid him a lot of money. I'm a little worried about Christian McCaffrey. I mean, if they don't draft like one of those stud tackles, which there are a lot coming out in this draft, there's supposed to be like 3 or 4 first rounders for sure. But if they don't, I'm worried about McCaffrey, and I'd slot him down a couple of spots actually. So going from being bullish on him to a little bit worried on him. Because they're going to be facing Tampa Bay and New Orleans. I mean, they have a tougher defensive division. But who do you have for your losers, Josh? Or do you have anything on C-Mac?
No, not much on C-Mac, man. I think he'll kind of eat regardless just because he's a receiving back. And, he can do more than just run between the tackles. So I feel like they'll use him in special ways to kind of get the ball in his hands to show his athleticism. But my biggest loser, I'm going to go with Atlanta. The past couple years, they've been struggling at the running back position. They went on ahead and signed Mike Davis, who stepped in at Carolina while McCaffrey was out. He actually did a great job in Carolina, holding the fort down while McCaffrey was out. But going on to Atlanta, where the offensive line is very shaky, team doesn't know who the quarterback's going to be, barely know who the receiver is going to be besides Calvin Ridley, Julio Jones, don't know if he's coming back or being traded. So it's kind of, I feel like Mike Davis with Atlanta is a loser because I doubt he'll even get 1,000 yards close to it just because of how the offensive line is looking this past season. And they didn't look like they added anybody in the free agency. That's worth mentioning. And then basically a lot would tell in the draft what they'll decide to do, but Mike Davis will be my biggest loser. Jackson.
Don't say my name. My first one would be, honestly, Houston running backs. I don't like it. Flat out. I feel bad for Phillip Lindsay. They both got like Mark Ingram's on the way out of the door. You're on the wrong side of 30. We've talked about this 1,000 times. By the time they decide who it is, which is going to be Phillip Lindsay, it's just going to be like a flex player or something like that. As far as fantasy purposes, that's a headache, and I want to avoid it. Phillip Lindsay is my guy, man, but he just keeps getting the short end. But then again, people are in these 1-year deals are popular this year because they're going to get paid next year, but they're banking on themselves. But I want no parts of Houston running back field unless one of them goes down, which I can see Mark Ingram would just becoming the player's coach, yada, yada. But sometimes those situations take weeks and weeks and weeks to really unfold, and ain't nobody got time for that.
Josh, you
my second loser, man.
You just said his winner was a loser, right?
Gentlemen, we're not going to sit here and pretend it's not a big-ass elephant in the room.
What the fuck is going on?
This is what the fuck is going on.
That's me. I don't care.
I'll let him get it off his chest.
You gonna bet some on it?
We're just individuals.
We will.
No, listen. We can go ahead and say they'll both get 700 yards, but from a fantasy perspective, I don't want him. I want the guy getting 1,000, with 8 touchdowns minimum.
Okay.
That's just me. Anyways,
Okay.
now my next loser, I think, is DeAndre Swift. Yeah, I'm starting some, Eric. What's up? And the reason why is because Jamal Williams, Dan Campbell, he likes that kind of mentality. If you guys think back to, I think when Kamara and Ingram, when Ingram was solid, pause. When he likes that 1-2 punch. And Jamal Williams is a very capable back, man. I think people really overlook him. So I think that's just going to hurt him more than help him. And once again, I just don't like the committees. Obviously, we want the more dominant, 1A alpha back, but we don't always get what we want. But I think that hurt him. Eric, who's your second loser?
My other loser was another team. I guess I'm more of an offensive line guy in free agency, but the Raiders traded 2 of the best ones in the league away. Trent Brown, Rodney Hudson, 2 Pro Bowlers. Trent Brown he could have been one of the tackles of the decade. I mean, if you really rank him up. That man is 400 pounds, 6'10" or whatever he is. He's a monster. But now they're relying on replacement level players. They just added Kenyon Drake. And Josh Jacobs there. Josh Jacobs, they don't like throwing passes to him. And so I think you're a little bit what Pat was saying. I think they're going to cannibalize off each other. They're they're trying to get their defense better, but it just seems like they dismantled their offense. I don't want either, unless, like Pat said, unless one of them aren't healthy. But Josh, do you have any thoughts on that, or you have another loser for us?
No thoughts on that. I like what you said. But my other loser, I'm going to go with Matt Breida. He's going to basically didn't have a good season with Miami, kind of up and down season. Now he's moving on to Buffalo, where it's you got Singletary and you got the McKenzie guy, and then they be having random running backs who's showing up. So with Breida, I don't know if his carries are going to be as high, if any. He'll probably replace if somebody gets injured or something like that. But Miami, I thought was his best chance of trying to stick and have a starting role. Now is kind of back into the, whoever's injured, your time is up now. So I'll say Matt Breida signing to Buffalo was a big loss.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Obviously, appreciate you guys watching. Be on the lookout for other videos. We're going to do a wide receiver and a tight end version of this. And if you guys do want a different or specific position, go ahead and let us know. All right. Other than that, thank you guys. Like and subscribe. Take it easy.
Thank you. Go to the link in the description. Most comfortable hoodie you've ever wore.
Cold in the Midwest.